Hello, it's Karen Harrison. Welcome to January 2021 Reiki Call. And today I am very honored to have two guest speakers, Shanley Tanek, who is a wonderful professional organizer and KonMari consultant, and Karen Keg, who is a Reiki teacher in Arkansas. And Karen has worked with Shanley on the KonMari method and has gone through a number of things. So you can reach Shanley on her website at shanleytanek.com, and you can reach Karen at Reiki-institute.com or arkansasreiki.com. Okay, so now I know I probably did not do an adequate job of introducing you, Shanley. Is there some more things that you would like to add about what you do? And then we'll let Karen also add.
Sure. So I'm Shanley Tanek. I'm a certified personal stylist. I am a KonMari consultant, and I'm also a professional organizer. I'm a member of NAPO, which is the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals. So I became a professional organizer because when I was a kid, I didn't play with my Barbie dolls. I would organize my Barbie dolls. So I would hang up all their clothes and line up all their shoes. And I would always go to my friend's house, and she had the Barbie dream house. And that was like the ultimate play date for me, because I could just go organize all of their clothes and their toys and their belongings. So I've just been doing this for a really long time, and I just love it. So when people are embarrassed to show me their house or to show me pictures of their house, even, I just get so excited, because it's like an opportunity for me to make their lives better. And there's so many different jobs out there. Like when you go to the dentist, I went to the dentist today. So many people have fear of the dentist and they don't want to go and they're angsty about it. And people are like that about me as well. It's in some cases, not always. But when I leave, you're in a better place than when I arrived. And so that's what I love about my job, is that at the end of the day, everyone is happier. Mostly me, probably, because I love it so much. When I do this job, I'm on purpose, and it helps me go for 8, 10, 12 hours. I've done 16 hours at a stretch when I had a client who was moving out of state, and the moving truck was showing up the next day. So we had to finish that night. But I just love it so much. And the KonMari method really resonates really well with Reiki. And so having been, I'm level 2 Reiki right now, but I'm going to go through all the training again next week with Karen, actually, and become a Reiki master. So I was just reading the most recent Reiki news, and there's a couple of articles in this one, actually. One about harmonize your home with Reiki, and then William did a great article about sort of the basics of Reiki 101 kind of a thing, Reiki basics, yeah. And there were I wrote a whole page of notes from that about how Reiki and organizing are just so in sync. So I'm super excited to go through all of that with you.
Okay, thanks. All right, and Karen, say a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, yeah. So what you should know about me is that I have been working with Reiki since 2012 to heal a lot of issues, and I'm still a work in progress. And especially since the Holy Fire 3 Reiki, it has really helped me release a lot of stuff. And this is how Shanley and I started working together. Is I said I'm releasing stuff like trauma, all these things. I said, but my house, I'm an empty nester. My son started college. I took care of both my parents. They're gone, and I'm just left here drowning in a sea of stuff. Or as Shanley told me the other day, she said you've built protective barriers with books. I'm a former English professor, so I have. Dealing with my physical stuff is sort of the next step of me dealing with my internal stuff. And it is just a revolutionary process. Some of my friends have said, my gosh, I can't believe you're paying somebody to help you organize. And I said, if I could do this by myself, I would have done it already. I have struggled with this all of my life. My mom bordered on being a hoarder. And I used to have a t-shirt that said, everything I ever let go of had claw marks all over it. I mean, it's really difficult for me to let go of things. And so I needed professional help. And because Shanley is a Reiki practitioner, and KonMari especially, and Shanley will talk about this more, but those principles of KonMari, Marie Kondo, she's Japanese. I mean, Japanese American, I'm not sure, but I know that her principles are Japanese, rooted in the same sorts of principles that Reiki are, honoring things, being present in the moment. All of those things really resonated with me. And so I could bring my Reiki practice to this process that she's helping me with. And I am doing so much self Reiki because we're only doing 3-hour sessions. I couldn't do like what she said, a 16-hour session. I would just be like on the side. I couldn't do it. 3 hours and I'm totally exhausted, and I have to go and give myself Reiki to sort of charge myself up. But we'll kind of go, Shanley, I think you're going to take us through the 5 categories of the KonMari method, and we'll just talk about how this works with Reiki. And if you can't hire a professional for some reason right now, maybe, her tips and tricks will help you go through it on your own. Maybe you're not as bad as I am. Maybe you can work through this on your own some. I know more people struggle with this than they admit. Helen is my friend, and Helen and I have talked about this kind of stuff. It's like, oh, if I could just, I'd go cook dinner if I could find my stove, I mean, that kind of stuff. It's just on particular days. So we hope that we can just go through what we've been doing. How long have we been doing this, Shanley? 2 months?
Just since, I'd have to, here, let me find out.
It's like,
Well, and you're
5
doing
years
it,
ago.
you're doing it at a distance too, which I think is cool because that means Shanley can only see what you want her to see.
Oh no, she doesn't miss a thing. She doesn't miss a thing. When I was going through clothes, she'd say, wait, what was that you just put down on the bed? You don't want to touch things twice. What is that? Because I'll go like, oh, don't want to deal with that. And she'll say, bup, what was that? She doesn't miss anything. So I have to, oh, okay, this is, and then I have to either keep it or thank you and goodbye. So it's been an amazing process. So I hope that going through this a little tonight will help you guys if you're struggling with it, or it might give you some different perspectives on Reiki, your Reiki practice as well. Okay, I'll shut up.
Yeah.
Okay.
December 20th is when we started.
Is that all?
It's
1 month.
It's been a little less than a month, in fact.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Shanley, you wanted to share something.
So I'm happy to go forward through the stages if you'd like me to do that. Is that how you'd like to move forward, Karen?
Yeah, I think so. Because it's just so overwhelming. And that's why I haven't, I've done some throwing out of stuff. I've moved, so I got rid of a little bit of stuff, but it's just overwhelming. I look around and go, and so Shanley came in and said, okay, we're going to do one thing at a time. And that has helped a lot. So explain, Shanley, how the 5 categories work, or the process.
Okay, Karen Harrison, that's okay too.
Yeah, there's 2 Karens on here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So it's fun because we all do Young Living essential oils together. And so when we've gone to conference multiple times now, I'll call them Harrison and CAG because you can't call them Karen.
Yeah, that's right. Just call me CAG.
Yeah. So if I break down to that, that's what's happening. Okay, so there are 5 categories with the KonMari process. And so the reason that you go in this order is because it's from easiest to hardest, theoretically. So you start with clothing, and then you go to books, and then you go to papers, and then what's called kimono, which means miscellaneous in Japanese. And then the last one is sentimental. And so kimono is anything that's not one of the other 4 categories. So it's your garage, it's your kitchen, it's your linen closet, it's your bathroom, it's your tchotchkes, it's your everything other than one of those. And of course, you can imagine that sentimental will encompass all of these as well, because some people will come across, let's say, their graduation robe, and then it becomes sentimental, or your wedding gown, or your mom's dress that you're holding on to because it still reminds you of her, or whatever. It can also be your favorite books, which was the case with Karen because she loves books. It can also be, your favorite, it could be your will, because that kind of is sentimental, or it could be your dad's birth certificate or anything, just any of those other categories can also be sentimental. And so the idea is that you're going to start with clothing so that way when you go through each category, you're going to strengthen your choosing muscle so that by the time you get to sentimental, you're going to be good with it. And so the idea here is you're supposed to pile all of your clothes on your bed. Bed is usually easiest only because it's up higher, so it's more ergonomically available to you. It's easier for you to bend over. It also, you're supposed to get all of this done in one day so that you can go to bed that night. And the idea is to shock you. It's supposed to be shocking. It's supposed to make you go, oh my gosh, I had no idea. And it usually does. I've yet to see it not do it. In fact, let's put it that way. So, but the goal is to shock. And the idea is that you're supposed to then, I always have somebody pick up their favorite whoopee, whatever it is. It's their favorite little jacket or their favorite shirt, whatever their favorite thing is that they wear all the time, that just makes them feel so good and that makes them feel fabulous. And it's usually like, I wear this blue shirt a lot because I get a lot of compliments on it and I look really good in this color. And so I wear it a lot to present, and I have a lot of this color in my closet. So I get compliments on it. So of course that makes me feel good. And that's about energy exchange, right? Which is Reiki. That's exactly what that is. So picking out the thing that makes you feel best is a way to identify your positive energy in the room. And then I usually will have people put that on a door or somewhere so that we can see it and feel it and touch it whenever we need to. And so the idea is that you then start going through the pile. It's usually easiest if you work front to back or top to bottom. Don't try to reach over to those things or at the pillows, because that's not that, then things are coming sliding at you. Start from the front and work your way to the back. It's just make life easy. The whole goal of this is to make your life easier. So you're going to work through picking up each item. And I'm talking like you should have emptied your sock drawer. You should have emptied your underwear drawer. You should have gone into your gym bag and pulled all that out. You should have gone into your garage and pulled out all of those winter coats. You should go into your hall closet and pull all of your scarves and mittens and gloves and boots, your shoes, your jewelry. We can also keep those as subcategories if depending on your quantity. You need to go into your office where you have a backup little, your little cardigan that sits on the back of your chair because you get chilly in the office or whatever. In your car, anywhere you have clothes, because the idea is if you come across clothes later in another category, you have to let them go. That it's supposed to make you be like, that's it, no choices here. You just got to say thank you and goodbye. So
Shanley, I'm hyperventilating over here. I'm trying to keep from this is like, oh my God.
Okay.
No,
And so
I could not do all that in one day.
So
I'm
okay.
afraid.
we did it in 3 or 4 days. I
Yeah.
couldn't. I still had a pile. I had to like shove over and like squiggly wiggly into the bed and just sleep with all my clothes.
And so what did I ask you to start with, Karen Cag?
You asked me before we even started, she said, what do you envision as like your perfect wardrobe? And I was like, I don't know. And then I thought, well,
something that fits.
yeah, that was in the back of my mind. But when I thought about it, I thought there was one long trip that my son and I made, and it was a 5.5 week romp through Europe. And I had just a roller carry-on and a little backpack. And I loved that I was able to wear those. I think we only washed clothes twice. I mean, besides our underwear and socks in the sink. And I said, I want like a simple travel wardrobe. And I do mean that. That's what I wanted. But then when I would come up with something like, oh, but this, and she said, does that meet your goal? Does that look like, simple, sophisticated, easy to travel, mix and match wardrobe that you have in mind? I'm like, no. She said, well, do you want to keep it? And then when she would pull me back to that, or like, do you like it? Well, and then sometimes because she's looking at me, I'll pick something up and I can't play poker. I'll be like, well, And she's like, what is that face you're making? What face? She kept pulling me back to my goal, and does that fit in there? If not, thank you and goodbye. That was so difficult though, but I only burst into tears once on a dress. The dress that I wore in Paris, it was a flowery dress, and this is, I can't explain to you how emotionally draining this is. And that's why I didn't do it. And that's why I needed a professional to help me.
Yeah.
She said, why are you crying? I said, I don't know. I think because this was the last trip, the only time my son hates France and I'll never get him back there. And it didn't have anything to do with the dress. It had all to do with a memory with my son of a time that I'm never going to ever have again. So much of this clearing out has been about, or with clothes, like, does that, or I would say, oh, I love this, but I'm too fat. And she'd say, you're not fat. It just doesn't fit you anymore. It's like, thank you, Shanley. And she would say, so what do we say? Thank you and goodbye. She said, I bet there's somebody out there that would love to have that. And that helps. It's like, yeah, I'm sure there's a beautiful skinny woman out there that would love to have this pair of pants. So thank you and goodbye. But it really was about deep stuff. It had to do with redefining myself. I told her, I said, oh, I used to wear this when I was 25. I'm 57. And she's like, so does that fit with who you are now, or who you're trying to move toward being? No. Thank you and goodbye.
I think I still have my pep club outfit in my office closet from high school.
Well, and you don't have to necessarily get rid of that, right, Shanley? It may be.
Yeah, so that would turn out to be sentimental.
I would have to try on all this stuff and see if I could possibly squeeze into that stuff. If I can't, then it can go. But if I can,
well, she probably would. She probably would say, why don't you frame it or put it somewhere and display it? Or, if it's really something valuable to you and means something. And so when she started framing my clothing in that way, I thought, okay, yeah. But or my socks, that was kind of funny. And a lot of times I didn't try everything on. I would just pull up like, I know this is not going to fit on my ass. And I would just think, thank you, goodbye. And it got easier just to because I was thinking about what I wanted to move towards. So that helped.
Yeah,
but the
so
socks.
Say more about the socks.
So the socks, I got rid of the socks I don't like. Well, you get to the point where you're like, I don't even like these. I don't even know why I have them. And then I got down to about probably 15 pairs of my favorite socks. And I'm like, okay, these are my favorite socks. And she says, but do you really need 15 pairs of black socks?
Just black, not counting the white or the other colors that she had.
Yeah.
So, and I said, do those fit into the travel wardrobe that you want? And so then she had to reevaluate. And
then I went, oh, if I were traveling, I would have 7 pairs of socks. That's all I would need, to go a week. So thank you and goodbye. And yeah, so clothing was really difficult. But I think books was even, I'm kind of moving along. I don't want to take up too much time,
okay.
But books, that was a really good one because I think it was that hundreds of cats, thousands of cats, millions and billions and trillions of cats. Has anybody read that book as a kid? Everybody's looking at me like, what? No, it's a children's book. And when I saw it squeezed in between all these other books I had, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this book. And so that became what was like my favorite outfit hanging on the clothes. Like, is it that? And so when I'd get a book and I'd say, I don't know if I should keep, she said, does it make you as happy as that millions of cats? So it really, it's like Reiki in the sense of that it makes you really release. It's almost like moving through, and I did use Reiki through these processes because it was really difficult for me. Books are difficult for me to let go of. I love books. They're like people to me. They're my friends. I'm such a nerd.
There was lots of recitations happening throughout the book category. It was fantastic.
Yeah. So well, and then I think, do I need the book if I have it memorized?
Yeah. And so that's part of the book category. And so going through clothing, you end up going clothing, and then you do accessories and shoes. And so you move through all those things. And the other thing that I asked Karen before we started clothing was, do you have a different place to sleep tonight if all of your clothes are on your bed? And she said yes. And so we felt comfortable piling all of her clothes on her bed because she did have another place to sleep. It didn't work out that way. She was able to use half of her bed, but I checked first to make sure she had another opportunity to sleep soundly, because we were working again the next day.
Mhm.
So the idea with books is that you then you pull all of the books in your house and you pile them up. And you're supposed to wake them up, because if you have them stored away in crates and buckets and things and boxes in your attic and your garage and your wherever, they're asleep. And so what you do is you wake them up, and that's the touching that happens. When if you've seen it in the tidying up Netflix show, you go around and you just, you've got your piles and you just wake them up and you say, hello books, and you wake them all up and you touch them all. And
I
then
smell them.
I'm sorry.
I
And you
smell
smell
them.
them. If you're Karen Tag, you smell them. And then you decide if you want them or not. So based on how much they smell. And so the idea is that books is sometimes the sentimental category for some people. And so we were on day 2 or 3 of books or of clothing, and Karen texted me, and just so you all know, I have permission from Karen Cag
Yeah, go
to
ahead.
comment on to make comments, to make reference to our sessions. And so she texted me and she said, I'm really kind of anxious about books tomorrow. And I said, first, number 1, we're not doing books tomorrow. We're not done with clothes yet. Number two, tell me a little bit more about that. Say more about why you're anxious. And she said, I just, I have so many books and I just love them so much. And I said, okay, here's what we're going to do is when we go through books, we're going to divide them into 2 categories, and we're going to have regular books and we're going to have sentimental books, and we're going to deal with the sentimental books at the end. And I think that we were able, by the time we got through, I think we had 4 book sessions. And I think Karen was able to go through all of the books by the end of the 4th
That was
book
12 hours, if you're wondering. That's 12 hours of going through books.
Yes, 4 3-hour sessions. And I think, Karen, and I want you to speak to this a little bit more. The idea, again, is strengthening your choosing muscle. And you do it through each category, because you're going through clothes for 12, 16, 20 hours. You're going through books for 12 hours. So every single thing that you pick up, you have to make a decision about. You can't just put it down. You have to make a decision. That's why we're here. You wouldn't be in this situation if you could do it yourself, because you can absolutely do it yourself. You're just not. And that's why you need my help. And so if we're there and we're going to do it, we might as well do it. And so the idea is, let's just do this as efficiently as possible. You've heard Karen mention this a couple of times now. We're going to just pick up a thing once, and you're going to make a decision about it then. And if it goes in the discard box or the donate box or the keep box, or put it where it belongs, then that's what happens. And that way we don't have to deal with it again. And that's why you go through the pile from front to back, so that you're not climbing over things, because now you've just touched 10 things to get to that thing that you see at the back. No, start here, work your way forward. We will get to that thing eventually, I promise, unless it's your touchstone, in which case then go get it and let's pull it out. So with books, same thing, big pile, put them in a place where you're ergonomically accessible. So Karen would put them all on a table, or we'd work out of her cabinets. It's not ideal to work out of the cabinets. You really are supposed to pile them all up, because again, shock factor. Oh, I have 3 copies of Gone with the Wind. Wow, I don't even like that book. How did that happen? Okay, well, I remember reading it in school once and somebody gifted it to me, and whatever the reasons are. And so that's why you're starting to put like with like. That's why you have 5 black t-shirts, and they're all in one place now in your closet. And you have 3 copies of whatever your favorite book is. Okay, so in many times, Karen had 2 or multiple copies of books. And so it would be at that point that Karen would have to decide if she wanted to keep them all. And the answer can always be yes. Okay. I am not here to make you get rid of things. I'm here to make you do that joy check, that zing. Does it make your heart happy? And if it does, then you should absolutely keep it with confidence. If it doesn't, we're going to think about why you're keeping it. We want everything in your house to bring you joy and make you so happy that when you walk into your home, you're happy to be there. Because how many times have you avoided a space in your home or your entire
home
because you're uncomfortable being there? So we don't want that to be anywhere in your home. We want every single place to bring you joy in some way or another. And yes, I understand that you have to have a toilet plunger. I get it. Or a screwdriver or a scrubby brush. But if you have a blue one because that's your favorite color, doesn't that make you smile a little bit more than the standard sort of wood handle with black, rubber bottom? Let's make it be happy for you. So pick one that is your favorite color, or an elephant because you love elephants.
I had to do that with Edgar Allan Poe. I had like 3 complete Edgar Allan Poes. I was like, okay. Oh, or Mark Twain. Remember, I got rid of that huge complete set of Mark Twain because I like to read in bed, and I thought I've never read these because they're so thick, they're hard to read, so I let them go.
Yeah. And so it's just that sort of fine-toothing that you do. Oh, yes, I see that I have 3 of this, but this one really is the easiest to use, or this one is the easiest on my eyes because now I'm 57 and not 25, and I need a little bit bigger print, or I need a book that's not so heavy because it's harder for me to pick it up. So it's the very sort of fine-toothing that I help you go into. And the evaluation of multiples, or even just a thing. You pick up a thing and that face or the comment, like oftentimes something would be, oh, I hate this. And I'd say, let's think about why you're keeping it. So it's hard to evaluate that on your own without that mirror. I'm the mirror that's reflecting all of that back to you. What's Helen asking us?
She said, can I have some of those books?
Yeah. We'd be happy to ship those to you, Helen.
See that blue thing hanging behind me?
Is that all books? Is
that all books?
That whole thing are books. I just hid them because I thought, well, on Zoom meetings, I didn't really want people trying to read the titles. Of my books.
We got
I see Helen's books.
And there's nothing wrong with having books. And Marie Kondo is not this is a common myth, that Marie wants you to get rid of all your books. It's just not true. What she wants you to do is keep books that make you happy. So if you are a book lover, Karen Cag, we're going to have 5 barrister cases full of books. And guess what we're going to have less of? Other things, because you're prioritizing barrister cases full of books. And that's okay. It's your house. You get to choose what you want in your house, not me. Not me.
Well,
it is not my choice. Gesundheit. It's not my choice to choose what goes in your home. It's yours. And that's why I'm never going to tell you to get rid of something. I'm going to remind you of what's happening. I'm going to remind you that you just commented you hated it. I'm just going to remind you that your face took on this look when you pulled it up out of your drawer. I'm going to say, I'm going to be that mirror. And that's, I think, maybe where Karen is finding most benefit.
Yeah, I think, and that's again, I want to keep tying back to the Reiki because I really see this connection because I let go of things. I thought, why am I keeping these books? And okay, I'll give you an example. I had a bunch of Spanish books. They were the exact books that, if you know Don Quixote, the ones that he read that drove him crazy, made him want to go out and be a knight errant and charge at windmills. Yeah, I have those books. I was a Spanish minor. I read those and I thought, why am I keeping these? I didn't even like them. And I came to the conclusion after kind of giving myself a little self-Reiki, I thought, I am keeping those books as an ego thing to put on my shelf and go, look at me, I can read old Spanish.
Yeah.
And I thought, and I don't even like those books. And I'm just keeping them to show people what? I guess to show people, look at me, I can read Spanish. And so I thought, no, just let that go.
And so the mirror to that, to those responses was, Karen, how does that make you feel to have those things in your home that are ego related?
I don't need those anymore. I don't need it. Yeah. And so
And so that's about feeling, which is energy. What is the energy like coming off of those books to know that they're egocentric and that you're doing it to impress other people? You don't even like those books. This is what I'm hearing you say about those books,
Uh-huh.
Karen. So maybe we can evaluate whether or not you want to keep those books. And her ultimate decision was no, thank you.
I
Thank you
don't.
and goodbye. And
Yeah.
so you're going to thank everything as you let it go because it served a purpose in your life. And like Karen Harrison was desperately searching for her notes pre-recording because she had key things she wanted to say. And then we said, look, you know everything that you need to know. And that's a common in the life-changing magic of tidying up. Marie talks about the fact that the third category, paper, is almost always things that you already know, and books as well. So this conference proceeding that you've been holding on to for 20 years or 10 years or whatever the number is, your high school yearbook, your books from college. In Karen's case, 4 copies of her dissertation. There's nothing wrong with having 4 copies of your dissertation. She does know the materials. She also had every single one of her literature references that was in her dissertation, and that's awesome too. However, literally however many years later, she's quoting them to me. So guess who knows this material? It's her. She knows it. So she was able to let some of it go because the energy, the stagnant energy that was living in her home didn't move her towards her goal. And so she had a travel wardrobe goal, and she also has a professional, successful, powerful woman, not somebody who is a empty nester goal. Okay, so she needed to do a mental refresh, a reframing of her future, who's not just an empty nester. That's not who Karen Cag is. She's a professional, successful, powerful businesswoman. And were those books moving her towards those purpose? No.
Nope.
So thank
But I
you.
kept the ones that were.
But
Yeah.
they did. At the point of her dissertation, they absolutely moved her towards her purpose. They aren't now. And so that's why you reevaluate occasionally.
Oh, there was a book I thought, oh, this is such a wonderful home improvement book. I said, I'll bet my son would like this because he's so handy. And so he came because I gave away like 8 boxes of books. And
It was
so I was like, well,
staggering. I expected
staggering the books I let go of, but I held that book up and I said, look, Aiden, I bet you would like this home improvement book. Do you want this? He said, Mom, that's what YouTube is for. I was like, oh, that's right. So it's just, yeah.
And so here's the idea of that book now has that energy in it that she's going to be gifting it to her son, right? She thinks it's super helpful. It's going to be a good idea for him. And so then she passes that book on to whoever, and it's her son in this case, furniture, clothing, gifts, whatever. The gift is in the giving, right? And so if somebody gives you a gift, the idea is it makes them happy. And Karen was going to be super happy to gift this book to her son. However, her son was not going to be happy to receive this gift. As often happens when we become the owners of our gifts, somebody had a really nice idea that you would love this, but maybe you don't. And in which case you say, thank you so much of thinking of me when you were picking out this gift. And then the gift is done, sever all ties to the original owner. This includes your mother or your auntie or your grandma or your whoever. Sever the ties. It is now your item. You are able to do whatever you want with it. I give you permission to do
See,
whatever.
I had a lot of guilt. A lot of the stuff I let go of, I couldn't because it had been given to me, or I paid a lot of money for it.
Yes, you do. So would your mother, and this is a perfect example, Karen, thinking of herself as her son, would you want your mother to want you to have this book knowing you don't have the space for it, you don't like it, it doesn't fit your decor, it doesn't fit you, it smells, whatever the reason is, whatever, would your mother want you to keep that item? The answer is no. Would anyone want you to keep that item? Because that's a sense of guilt. And guilt has an energy, right? Guilt has its own frequency. Do you want that living in your home? No, thank you.
What I found, I have to just make this connection for everybody because I don't think I realized it. Everything that Shanley helped me let go of, it wasn't just a physical item. I was also giving up guilt or some of the stuff that Reiki still hadn't cleaned out. But, I think that the Reiki was helping with that. But it was like, here went the physical item. And then over here, I had to let go of this expectations that people had on me and a sense of failure. And I can't tell you. And it's just exhausting. But when I finished each session, I'd be like, I said, I'm exhausted, but I'm also exhilarated, because once you let go of something, then you've got this open space for possibility that I did not have before.
Yeah.
And so
And it
that's,
always gets worse before it gets better. Please, please, please remember that. You can't take everything out of your closet and then go, oh, well, my closet's clean now. But guess what? Your bed is full. So it's going to get worse before it gets better. And all that stuff has to go back in. And I'm going to help guide you and put it back in a way that's refreshing and colorful, maybe a rainbow, so that your heart goes zing when you look in your closet too. Why shouldn't it? Why shouldn't it? Make your energy go up by having things go from short to long. And that way your energy in your room goes up physically with the way you've hung your clothes in your closet. Light to dark, same thing. Bring the energy up, the frequency, raise the frequency in your home in just subtle, tiny little different ways.
and
So you're gonna
sometimes, oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I
Nope.
was going to say, well, tell them about, sometimes when I get really I would be crying. I mean, this is a little embarrassing. I'd be just sobbing and crying, and Shanley she would like ring up, I don't know what, all of a sudden I just knew that I'd hear and she'd be like clearing.
My little KonMari tuning fork.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like Pavlov's dog. I'm like, yeah, oh, I feel better. Okay.
So just clear the space, clear the energy. I always hold a safe space. This is a judgment-free zone. I am not judging you. All I'm doing is asking questions. The questions have no meaning other than I'm just getting information. I'm just gathering information so that I can then mirror those answers back to you in a way that moves you towards your goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's the idea, is move towards your goal. So you're going to move through the categories. The same thing with paper. And I will say paper is the hardest for most people, because this right here is 100 sheets of paper. That's 100 individual choices and decisions you have to make. Okay. This is a book. This is 100 sheets of paper. Okay. That's hard. That's really, really hard. So paper usually is the hardest, and it can also take the longest. Usually kimono takes longest because it just encompasses so many different things. And sentimental is, of course, the hardest, although we're hoping that you've made your heart and your choosing muscle so strong by the time you get to sentimental. And frankly, you're just tired of this. You're just tired of this process by then. And you're like, let it go. Nope. Thought I was sentimentally attached to that. Turns out I'm not. So by the time we get here, you're just flinging stuff out the door into the donate. No, thank you and goodbye. Thank you and goodbye. Thank you and goodbye. And that happens at the end of clothing, because at the end of a 3-hour session, you're like, oh my God, how many more decisions do I have to make? And you'd be shocked what you'd be willing to get rid of. Why did we get rid of 8 boxes of books? Because Karen was just so ready to be done with books.
Wow. Okay, well, I want to just interject and see if any of you all have a question for Shanley or Karen. You can say it, unmute yourself, or you can put it in the chat.
And it can be about any of the categories, because you're sensing that, there's some similarity in the process here for a reason. Anyone?
Yeah, Lucy.
We have a question.
Well, I have a statement and then a question, and I'll make it brief. I did that with my clothes, and it was just amazing when I would hold the clothing and make that decision, how, when I said that word joy, how I got in touch with myself even more in depth. It was just amazing, because I've done it before and I did it a second time, and it was like, second time is when I realized, gee, I'm really in touch with myself. So I just wanted to say that.
Yay, good.
That's a good point, because I was living so much of my life not in touch with myself.
Okay.
And or feelings, and so this really forces you to touch the things that you really didn't want to look at. La 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 la, I don't see you. But then it also allows you, like Lucy said, to touch something and go like, wow, this really brings me joy. And sometimes you even discover something about yourself that you didn't even know was there. Like, I didn't know I loved this so much, or that it was that important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And you had,
mindfulness.
yeah.
And my other question is, I retired about, it'll be 2 years in May. And I worked for over 47 years as a nurse and a nurse practitioner. And so I have all these professional clothes. And so I don't wear them as much anymore, but I also have some other professional things that I'm involved in. So then I think, well, should I keep them? Because what if I have to go out in public again? Because right now I'm just jeans and workout clothes and, you know, so it's just a
Pajamas.
matter of just making
Yeah.
that decision to release my professional clothes, even though there's like, I have like, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 pairs of black pants because I wore pants a lot because of my work. I had to be prepared to run. If I had to run, I didn't want to wear a skirt. So I have all these pants, but I release a little bit, but but anyway, that's where I am.
And that's common. So at that point, you start disengaging from your professional and you start working towards your new life, your new goal. And there's a process, stages that you go through of release on that. Unless you're one of those, it's like, I'm retired, I'm out of here, done, and just pass them off. And that happens too. And so opportunities there would be to take your nursing scrubs to the hospital or wherever you used to work and just leave them in the break room. People will use them.
Yeah, well, I was a nurse practitioner, so I wore professional
You
casual.
wore-
So
Yeah,
I
like
wore
business clothes.
like
Yeah.
business clothes, but for
Do you-
business casual, yeah.
And
Do you
so a
think she should
YW,
keep them,
Pardon?
Shanley? Do you think, how much do you think she should keep and how much do you think she should give away
so,
maybe?
yeah, so I don't know what her goal is, so that I would need to know that first.
Yeah.
And if she is actually engaging professionally, how often, how often do you do your laundry? Are you okay wearing the same thing a couple of times? Do you Zoom a lot? Because we actually have a specific Zoom section in Karen's closet because certain tops, we've all seen this, don't go well on Zoom, right? Stripes, things with lots of wavy lines, it just kind of freaks your eyes out. Like right now in Helen's background, she's got these blinds and you can see like they're just a little bit wavy and they're doing that sort of weird thing with your eye. And so if she was wearing a striped shirt like that, it would do that. That's better. Thank you. But that's why you never ever see newscasters wearing stripes because it does this, right? So it's always solids or a big pattern like what Karen Cag has on. That pattern is sized enough that it's not going to cause your eyes to do that weird thing. And so there's a whole Zoom section in her closet just for Zoom appropriate clothing because guess what? You're all wearing nothing on the bottom or your pajama bottoms, and that's okay. So there's no bottoms in her Zoom section. It's all and that's okay too, because we all know that's what's happening.
Pajama bunny bottom.
Yeah, I have like stretchy
Exactly.
pants on the bottom.
Everybody show us your bunny slippers right now. So it depends on what Lucy's goal is and how, all those things. But this, like Karen Cagu understood this. We went through this process of asking questions and moving towards the goal. And so I would need to know a little bit more about Lucy. But the general idea is if you're not wearing those every single day, you don't need enough to last you a week. If you're only going to professional business meetings once a week or a couple of times a week, and if you don't mind wearing the same thing, guess how many outfits you need? Maybe 3, maybe, it all depends on the person as well. So that's a hard question to answer just off the bat, but I just give you a roundabout thing. So yeah. Other questions?
Yeah. Anybody?
I don't see any. Okay.
Well,
So the idea.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So the clothes category, one thing I always do whenever I go through my clothes is if I think I want to keep it, but I haven't worn it for a while, I might need to try it on to see if it still fits.
Sure.
So how do you handle that?
I've seen my clients naked mostly. That's how we handle that.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
It's sort of like yoga, undress to your level of comfort, or a massage, if you need to go to the bathroom every time you change, that's cool. It turns out I'm going to wait here. because this is where I am. I'm just gonna wait until, and you're the one who's in charge. You get to decide how the session goes. So if you want to go try on all of your clothes, here's what I did with Karen Cag is we created a pile. So I'm not quite sure about this. So then in that case, we were touching things twice, or that became her homework. I'm not real big on assigning homework because people are so exhausted after a session, they mostly don't do it. And that's okay. If you even self-assign homework and you end up not doing it, that's okay. That's where we're going to start the next time. That's okay. So Karen Harrison, what we would probably do is put a try-on pile, and we absolutely had a try-on pile for CAG. And then she went and tried them all on for homework, and then she just divvied them up. She either put them in the yes pile or the no pile, and it was super easy for her to handle it that way, and it kept the session moving forward. If you find that you're having more that you need to try on than less, then we're going to have a conversation about that, and about we're going to redirect back to a vision. The other thing that you get that's a benefit from me in particular is that I'm a certified personal stylist. And so clothing in particular, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about your colors. I'm going to talk to you about what looks best on your face, next to your face. The reason that these two ladies look wonderful in what they're wearing right now is because Karen Cag has pale skin, pale hair, but dark eyes. So that light blue with the dark blue in it looks wonderful because it's very monochromatic with her. Karen Harrison, on the other hand, has more olive complected skin. She's got dark hair and dark eyes, so she can pull off that red like that, and no problem. Turns out Karen Cag can also pull off red like that too. But there are two different colors of red. There's an orange-based red and a blue-based red. Karen Harrison looks today, she's sporting a fancy orange-based red, whereas Cag would need a blue-based red because of her lighter skin tone and her blue eyes. So those are the kind of tips you're going to get from me. And so that is what's going to make it super easy for you to understand that yellow is not a good color for you, or light colors are not a good color for you, but dark colors are. You, Karen Harrison, need jewel tones, emerald, ruby, sapphire, deep purple is going to look great on you. And those colors also look really good on Karen Harrison because of her, or Cag, because of her dark eyes. However, Karen Cag can pull off light, where Karen Harrison is not going to look as good in those colors. So that's going to be an easy way. So like Karen Harrison, that blue behind you on your book hiding curtain, not a great color for you. In fact, I would encourage you to change that curtain out for that navy blue that's in your Krishna poster, or whatever your poster is over here.
Yeah, it's actually purple.
So that navy deep blue purple would be a much better background color for you.
Oh, well, how about like this one?
So that's good. Like those deep dark colors there are going to work great. But this is the idea, is that these are the extra little tips you get from me. And the reason that these tips work really well is because it raises your frequency. That's what it does. That's where we're hooking it right back into Reiki. Is the reason that you look good in those colors is because it raises your frequency and you vibrate that positivity. And so you get compliments on those things. And the reason I get compliments on this is because I look good in it. And so I vibrate really strongly when I wear this color. And so that's just a reinforcing wheel, right? It's like your little hamster wheel. You look good in that. Okay, I'll wear more. Okay, I'll buy more. Okay, look, I look good. Yay, I love me. And then you wear that one pink thing and everybody's like, are you feeling okay today? Is there something wrong? And you're like, no, and I feel fine. But those things that kind of just stay in your closet all the time, and you'll put it on and you'll be like, no, and you put something else on. Let those things go, ladies. There's a reason, and gentlemen, there's a reason, because they're not the right color for you. And you know it subconsciously and emotionally and energetically, you know it. So just let them go. So that's how, Karen Harrison, we would move a little bit more quickly through your clothing, is we would find a baseline of colors that are best for you. And then hopefully, it would make you move through your clothes a little more quickly because you'd hold up that light blue and you'd be like, oh,
With
this doesn't,
black, no.
yeah,
Black,
black,
no.
not a great color for CAG, much better color for
And a
hair.
lot of black.
Yeah. So a much better color for light and light is navy blue or brown, chocolate brown, or like a charcoal gray. It's just too stark of a contrast. Who is this? Jennifer LaFawn. That charcoal that you're wearing, much better contrast because it's not so stark. Like we've got Christina with the darker, dark, and then your face. Go ahead. Yeah. So it's just dark. It's just a much bigger contrast. And like Lucy, we've got that contrast. So Helen, you've got lighter blue with your color there. So that's a better contrast. It's not so contrasty. So it comes off as,
love it.
yeah. And then you've got those other variated colors in there too, but it's just softer. It's not so harsh. It doesn't bring out the lines in your face as much, ladies, when you have the less contrast between your skin tone and your color, your clothing color. So that's when I'm hearing the hesitation about, well, maybe, well, and your maybe pile starts growing, then we start readdressing actual reasons those clothes don't look good on you. And it may be like I've just given 20 examples of yes here, but no here, and vice versa. So why don't you let that clothing go to someone that it's actually going to look good on, and their Reiki level goes through the roof because they get compliments on it.
Well, when we're in the master class this weekend, we're going to talk about the authentic self. And probably you guys are familiar with that. And for me, that this was a lot of like making the internal work that I was trying to do with the Reiki to peel off, the layers of the culturally created self to find my authentic self. Then I'm trying to Shanley's helping me match that, my outside life, with that.
Yeah. And the idea is maybe 20 years ago when Karen Cag's hair was dark brown, she could get away with wearing these darker colors, but it's not anymore. And guess what? Cag doesn't have any inkling to change her hair color. So why are we going to have a whole wardrobe for when Karen Cag had dark brown hair? Let's not do that. Let's focus on the strong, successful, powerful businesswoman that Karen Cag is right now, and have a wardrobe that supports that. And that goes into the aspirational clothes, the in 10 pounds clothes, the I'm going to lose 10 pounds clothes. Okay. Are you supporting yourself right now with the clothes that are in your closet?
She said, will you never be able to buy another pair of leggings? I don't know, maybe not. So I also, the clothing thing, a lot of that was coming from really poor childhood. And like not wanting to let go of things. I felt like I was being wasteful. And there was a lot of guilt. Like, well, if you would just lose some weight, then you would fit into those clothes and not have to get rid of them. What a waste of money, blah. I mean, there was just so much stuff. It wasn't just, you think it's just going to be clearing your stuff or letting go of it. And it's just really deep, deep, deep work. And I'm so grateful.
And this applies to every category. Why do you have 17 spatulas in your kitchen? Well, because, 3 of them were gifts, and this one's my favorite color, and this one was from, this one's for barbecue, and this one's for, okay, great. Do you need 17 spatulas? Do you even have space for 17 spatulas? I'm guessing you don't, and that's why I'm here. So 80% rule. So what Marie Kondo likes to have you do is fill your space up to 80% and leave 20% open. So then you've got that movement. There's the energy flow that happens all of a sudden, that you can have energy, good, positive energy flowing through that space that will welcome in new things. And when you don't have a mindset of scarcity, but rather abundance, then the thing that you need will come to you, rather than having something that doesn't quite fit or isn't quite the right color. And I've had this for 17 years, but the handle's chewed on, but I just, it's the only one I have.
You're talking about my strainer, aren't you?
Maybe,
Yes,
I might be. But the thing was, is she had 2 other strainers, as it turns out. So did we actually still need that strainer? So the thing that we went through with that, well, there were 3 strainers. Guess what? The yellow one with the chewed up handle was the one that her mom gave her. And every time she picked it up, her heart smiled and her mouth smiled and her whole body smiled, just exactly like that. When she
chewed on your strainer?
her
The
strainer.
dog chewed it. The dog chewed it. Oh, I don't know. Probably 20 years ago, the dog chewed it. But so
Guess what? Every time she picked it up, she smiled just like that. And then she had a metal one. She said, I never use it. And I said, okay, maybe we should think about why you're keeping it. Let's go to the 3rd one. And the 3rd one was just, you know, just a standard old, it was just a little smaller though, but maybe I need one that's just a little smaller. I understand all those reasons. I really do. Let's talk about the 3 things that are taking up space. One of them you love, one of them you're ambivalent towards, and one of them, I'm not even sure you even knew it was there. You forgot about it. You literally forgot about, oh, I didn't even know I had this, I think
it
is
was
what.
way up there on the cupboard.
And she can't reach that shelf. So why are we even putting things on that shelf? So all of these things apply to every single category. I spent money on it. It was a gift. Well, what if I don't? What if I need it? I might use it for that costume party I'm going to go to. Well, maybe somebody else will want it. Okay, so if you're going to give that furniture or that book to Aiden, let's call him or let's text him right now and ask if he wants it. And if he doesn't, thank you and goodbye. Yeah. Guess what? Your kids don't want your oak furniture. They don't like oak.
Yeah.
Right? So let's ask them if they want your oak furniture. And this is how we move through all of the categories every single time. And I get that you spent money on it, but is it moving you towards your purpose? And the idea of knowing that it's sitting there is creating negative energy in your home. And that's where the energy stops. And that's not allowing love and light and Reiki to flow through.
Wow. So we need to move to an end. Yes, I feel like I'm about to have a heart attack here. I'm thinking about all this, and I didn't even get to confess about my flat surface syndrome problem, like stuff.
I have that too. Self-Reiki.
Yeah, I think I need to do some self-Reiki after this Reiki call as I think about all this. Take some deep breaths and yeah, think about all that. Yeah, I'm going to just think about it and think if I'm motivated to do this work.
And guess what? If you're not going to reach out, and that's okay. You will when you're ready. And
I was ready.
You are ready, because otherwise we just end up having an argument, and that's not really fun for me, and it's not really fun for you.
Yeah.
So let's just not do it. Only call when you're ready.
Yeah. Well, this is awesome. I so appreciate the 2 of you sharing about this process. You know, I mean, it's something that all of us can benefit from, you know, clearing out our stuff. And although it is giving me a heart attack, I do regularly go through my stuff and clear things out.
Yeah.
But I still have flat surface syndrome. So anyway, it's just always, you know, it's an ongoing process. You can't just do it once is the doggone thing, because then, you know, I accumulate more stuff.
Yes.
So
that's when the 1 in, 1 out process starts happening. And the 80% rule, if you're going to only fill the 80% and you're going to leave 20% empty, you need to start thinking about what you're going to take out if you're going to bring something in.
Oh, I just went out and bought a whole bunch more hangers. Yeah, I'm sure that was not a good thing.
Karen Harrison is not ready yet. And so anybody who is ready, feel free to reach out.
Well, thank you so much, Shanley and Karen, for your wisdom and knowledge. And yeah, I hope you all.
I hope it helps some people. I mean, it's really helped me, but I was ready.
So let's just go over one more time how to reach Shanley at shanleytenek.com. Last name is TEN space EYCK. And Karen Kag at Reiki-institute.com or Arkansas Reiki, if that's easier for you, and me at KarenHarrison.net. We will be sending this out to anybody that missed it. So you can also find this on my YouTube channel and on iTunes and Google Play and Spotify and all those places. So thank you all
Thank
so
you.
much for joining us, and we send you love and blessings. And I hope that you are now inspired to go clean something out.
All right.
Okay. All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.